exercise and rest, DER. And we're going to probably do at least another one this year. If not, we hope to do one a quarter and focus on a certain portion of that. And we asked Dr. Cabot, who just, she just came in from New Hampshire with the black ice. So while she's getting set up, I thought that I'd take the opportunity to introduce our exhibitors and our vendors on the side that are along the wall.
And every week I take one aspect of living with MS and make gentle fun of it to try to give people who are trying to give us a little giggle at some of the things that get to us. And I actually have a book coming out as well next month. So if you get a chance, I'd love to tell you more. So I created Wheelchair Escapes 12 years ago, and I've been helping a lot of people with mobility challenges to travel and make sure their special needs are met along the way. I have a lot of information, and there's a lot of things that people in wheelchairs can do. Travel is for everyone. Thank you.
My name is Anthony. I'm from Charm Medical Supply. We're New England's largest supplier of home medical equipment through your insurance. So we can provide you anything with wheelchairs, walkers, commodes, any type of fast safety equipment, nutritional items, as well as home care supplies.
Hi, I'm Jim with Allen USA. We do elbows, quite a few have it. It's another option to use that plastic. Helps quality of life, physical impressions. Please come over.
I'm Lynette Kavanaugh, along with my counterpart Steve Hogan. We're from Biogen IDEC, and we have 3 multiple sclerosis medications. We have Avonex, we have Tecfidera, and Tysabri.
I am Teresa Marin. I am one of the representatives with Genzyme, and Genzyme manufactures Bajio, which is one of the oral medications for MS.
I am Jonathan Holloman with Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. I have Rebif. And same as all the other reps, any questions or concerns or feedback, please feel free to come on back. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Susan, and we're here from Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center with information about some brain imaging research that's going on for MS patients.
So this is Dr. Cabot, and she was kind enough to come down from New Hampshire, which is apparently a different zone as far as the Arctic polar, what do we have, a polar vortex? Yeah, so Annie had it until this morning. So we appreciate her coming down and joining us, and we're going to give her a warm welcome, and she'll take over from here. So thank you.
So this is going to be a little bit of a different talk. I know a lot of times we come out and we talk about drugs and treatments and all that. We will talk a little bit about that, but today the focus is really about all the other stuff that you can do to stay well with MS. And there are a ton of things you can do to stay well with MS and how we get through these obstacles. So when we talk about managing MS, I think it's a little different for everybody. I think, I look at what we do in the office and I say, boy, we do different things for different people. Sometimes, the fun part of my job is I get to know patients for many years. That's why I like this. It's sort of like the family practice of neurology. It's not like diagnose and adios. That's the way MS used to be. Because we didn't have anything to treat them with, we didn't understand it, and maybe someone was having a seizure in the hospital, we had to go. But really, if you have an MS person, you're going to be with them for a long time. You're going to be working with your specialist for years and years and years, because it's a chronic disease. And if we get a cure for it, then we can say adios. But until then, you're stuck with us. So make sure you find someone that you work with. And not every shoe fits. Not everybody's going to like my practice. You may not like your first practice. And that's okay. Feel free to move on. So what do? We diagnose you. We have to make sure we get the proper diagnosis. There's a lot of other things it could be. It's a diagnosis of exclusion. We talk about treatments. We'll go over that a little bit. A big part of what we do after we do that is make sure that treatment's working. We manage symptoms. We talk about lifestyle, relationships, and all that other fun stuff that goes into making you a happy, healthy person. No 2 patients are the same. And so when you keep that in mind, when you talk to other people, you may have had a wonderful experience with your diagnosis, your friend may have a terrible experience, you may have tried something that worked great for you, your support group person may be like 3 of them out there might be like, that's the worst thing I ever heard of, blah, blah, blah. So there's going to be a lot of conversation. You could ask 10 neurologists and get 20 answers, and I'm not kidding. It's a very variable, it's still the art of medicine. There is not one perfect therapy, or we just have one up there. Again, what works for one patient may not work for the next patient. The important part about picking a medication is doing it with your doctor, understanding the risks of the medication, and then being monitored to make sure it's working. I think the most important part, and anybody would tell you this, is that you've got to manage the disease first. So if you keep having exacerbation after exacerbation, whether you exercise or not, that's the priority, is to treat that exacerbation, right? You gotta get the disease under control first. So I think the number one thing is communicating with your doctor about the problems you're having, okay? So write them down, because you know how you get in the room and the doctor's like, okay, how's your medicine going? Here's your MRI, this is what your labs look like, they do the funky chicken, they check your reflexes, and then you're out of there before you know it. It's been half an hour's up, you know, you haven't even really gotten to stuff. I love when people come in with a list. The funny thing is, a lot of times we get through the list before they've even brought it up. But the list helps a ton, because you've got a limited amount of time. You don't want to be driving home and go, oh, darn it, you know, I forgot to get to this, you know. Try something new. I always think this is kind of a fun thing to do. So if you've never tried any of these things, it's, you know, it might be something like yoga, it might be Tai Chi. You might try something totally different. You might decide, I'm going to do aquasize, or I'm going to do a chest club. It's very good for your brain, but it's also very good just to be in that kind of an environment. And then you should set some goals for yourself. Don't set like crazy goals. Set good goals. Things that are going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy? I'm going to be happy if I do blank. Okay? And it doesn't have to be run a marathon. It could be, I could be happy if I actually do my stretching 5 days a week, or something like that. So your goals are very personal. Your doctor can help you with that. And remember, a lot of us are going through the same thing, MS or no MS. So I think that's the other thing. All of us are patients at some point in life. And so a lot of us have other things that we're dealing with. And so you might find a commonality even with someone who has a different diagnosis or something else that they're dealing with that really helps you connect. So you can also decrease the progression of the disease. There are studies that show you can decrease the progression of MS by exercising, okay? And it improves the quality of life. So these are actual studies that show these things. So it's about finding good outlets for your stress, okay? Finding rules that work for you. So it's going to be different for everybody. So some patients will say, you know, fatigue is what bothers me, and so if somebody gives me something stressful to do, you know, I work on the computer. If someone says, do something really taxing, I find that it's much easier for me to do it in the morning than in the afternoon, because I'm not as tired. So modify your day. So do the things that are more difficult when you don't have your problem. So if your problem is fatigue, and you're not as tired in the morning, that's when you want to do the project. Do you guys remember that first year, how much it stunk? You know, when you're full of this apprehension, anxiety, you don't know what's coming, you don't know what treatment you're going to be on. The doctor mentions the drug, you look at the side effects like, oh my God, this is worse than what I got. So when you see someone who's newly diagnosed, and if you've had MS for a long time, it's always great to talk to them and say, hey, this year's going to be tough, because every time your toe tingles or your nose itches, you're going to think it's your MS. But, you know, you're going to get this, you're going to deal with this, you're going to spring back, okay? So sometimes it may seem bad. You may feel stretched to the limit, but take a deep breath and remember that you will come back. You will be who you are. You should find something that works for you, not what somebody else thinks works for you, okay? So our whole goal is as an MS center is to treat the whole patient and make sure that you know there are resources out there for you. But a lot of times we're going to say tag your it. It's not necessarily a pill. We may give you the tool, but then you're going to have to go forward and do the job. And you should think of it as a work in progress. No one's ever done. We're all still working at this stuff all the time, everybody. So thank you very much for coming. I know that you have wonderful speakers coming up.
This is Jodi, and Jodi's a nutritionist, and she's been kind enough to join us from the Boston home.
I'll tell you a little bit about the Boston home. It's a long-term care facility for people with chronic neurological disorders, most specifically MS. So we have about, I think it's 98 residents, all in wheelchairs. And we also have an outpatient program called BFIT. When I was doing research for this, I noticed that every website is saying there's just no special MS diet. Okay, there's the diet that's recommended is a low-fat, high-fiber diet, which is what is recommended for the general population. Also focusing on reducing sodium. So you might have a problem with cholesterol, or you need to focus on lowering your cholesterol. You might have glucose intolerance from a medication that you're on. You might have difficulty chewing or swallowing. You might have high blood pressure that develops, or your mobility might change, and so your weight might change. It might go up, it might go down. So be prepared to be flexible with your nutrition and what you're eating. making sure to exercise at any stage of MS, and that could be a modified form of exercise if mobility is difficult. Spirituality, and I believe if you have someone come in and do yoga with you, is also a really important practice to have. If you're on a medication, there might be an interaction with the nutrients. You might get additional calcium. If you're on a prednisone or another steroid, you might have weight gain from an antidepressant such as Ranno. So just be prepared that your body might change. MS causes inflammation, and so we really want to reduce inflammation in the body by limiting foods that can put you in an inflammatory state. And if you're tired, if you're experiencing fatigue, try small meals. Have ready-to-eat healthy snacks available, like nuts and seeds. Fresh fruit is always great. Conserve your energy when cooking, so sitting down if you need to, making food ahead of time, and freezing in batches, so that you can just take it out and heat it up. It's a great idea to help with that. There's another good website for if you are experiencing fatigue and you want to do more microwave meals. I found that cooks.com has a lot of great microwavable recipes that are really healthy and easy. I like to say that it's more important to feel good at the way you're at rather than to try and reach a weight that's not attainable for you. But if you are underweight and it's a problem, you might want to look at supplementation of some sort, seeing a dietitian to get the right supplement for you. Also very important, choosing food that's fresh, minimally processed, does not have a lot of additives and preservatives, is very important. Limiting your intake of processed foods. So many reasons why: the sodium, the chemicals that are used. Vitamin D is key. It's really key for MS, and it's a fat-soluble vitamin. It also functions as a hormone. There has been a correlation found between the amount of sunlight you've been exposed to and the prevalence of MS. At the equator, there is zero MS. There is zero incidence of MS at the equator. The further north you go, the higher prevalence of MS. Letting your body get 10 minutes without sunscreen is really important because it is the best way to get adequate vitamin D in the body.
Every single one of you would be able to go out and do an activity and stay warm and still have fun. And again, why is it important? It gets the body moving, which is so good for your body. But in the summer, we have accessible kayaking and sailing and canoeing and horseback riding and hiking, and all of that is through adaptive equipment. Now, we didn't adapt the horse, but we did adapt the saddle. Well, we have something called a terra track chair, which looks like a rickshaw. 2 really robust tires and 2 4-foot poles, and or several people can hold, and because it picks up the front tires, and you have these really robust back tires, you can go over tree trunks and small rocks. It does have to be wide, though the trail still has to be wide as the chair. But we've had somebody go to the top of Mount Greylock with help. A lot of times it's encouragement, help, and equipment. So if there's any requests, make it known, because you're the only one, as opposed to saying, oh, it's not available. We want to make it happen. We want to make the difference. A lot of disabilities are invisible, and because we are open to people of all abilities, the equipment, if the specialized equipment, if somebody needed it, would go first to somebody with a disability. So for example, and then it's available to everybody and their families and friends.
These programs are put on by her. It's amazing, today's venue. Great speakers and a great hotel, food. And I want to thank you and your volunteers and staff for another wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you. So Cindy's going to guide us in a nice yoga session next door.